It's the 8th season of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. We're back on the streets of Adelaide, just where we started the 2018 season. I'm having a great time. We're on a Ferris wheel in amongst the crowd. How about you, Sophie? What do you think of Australia?
Well, I feel super immersed myself into this great racing atmosphere right here in Adelaide. 观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎您收看2019年奥迪运动 R8 LMS 杯的全年首站澳大利亚站的比赛现场。我是方妮，在我身旁的是我的搭档尚。我们俩呢，现在是在摩天轮之上为大家进行报道啊。那 I feel super excited, Sean. How about you?
I always love being here racing at home, but this is all about the Cup. We saw last year it was a great battle between the Australian drivers and the Asian teams. It really went down to the wire, one each. It's happening again this weekend, but the one thing they've got to deal with is the heat.
Yeah. 现在呢，我们在室外是40度的高温，哇，我们的天气非常炎热的同时，但比赛也非常的精彩，所以接下来的时间就让我们一起来共同收看一下吧。So it's our time to take a look.
Hi, welcome to the 2019 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. You are looking at the 2019 evolution of the previous generation car.
So what's new about this car?
The front aero profile of the car is completely different.
The dive planes are bigger, there's more airflow underneath the car.
The air flows through very nicely from the front to the rear of the car.
The weight of the splitter itself provides more force on the front tires. The response that you get from the front tires is a lot more direct. Definitely something to look out for the amateur drivers this year, as it will definitely make them more confident in the car and help them reach the best lap time. This year we're driving the DHD2 tire compound from Pirelli. It's definitely a step up from last year. It gives a better driving feel for the amateur drivers.
One of the changes on the rear profile of the car is also to help the heat escape from the rear brakes a little bit better from the inside out and to the rear.
Better reliability and better feel for the customer driver.
It's a warm, very warm welcome from Adelaide in South Australia, a spectacular part of the world famous for sport, culture, good food and wine, and a little bit of warm weather this week. And it's currently 40 degrees Celsius, just a touch over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And everyone here in Adelaide just trying to keep cool and stay in the shade ahead of the first round of Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup for 2019. It's part of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship once again. A championship that spans the entire country, every state, just about every territory, and even makes its way over to New Zealand. But round one of the Audis coinciding, Sean Hensherwood, with round one of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship on a famous circuit that once hosted the Formula One World Championship back in the 80s and 90s. This is the Adelaide Parkland circuit.
I was proud to be here for one of those races. It was fantastic then, it's fantastic now. It's probably grown to be better and better each year, and certainly this comes off the back of a debut last year for the Cup here on the streets of Adelaide.
The circuit is tricky and it can certainly catch the drivers out in many different places. That's turn 1, 2 and 3. A chicane named after the very famous Ayrton Senna, who raced here over 2 decades ago. The run up to Wakefield Street in turn 4 is a good passing opportunity for the Brave, relying on the ABS of the Audi R8. There's been some changes to the circuit through turn 6 and 7, with the walls coming in and making it feel awfully narrow. This part of the track has already caught some drivers out, over 200 kilometres per hour and we have lost one of the GT4 spec cars there this weekend. Great passing opportunity underneath the gum trees down at turn 9. We swing back around the pit complex. There's a big stage here for the music festival that also coincides with this race. International acts such as the Red Hot Chili Peppers here to play this weekend. Turn 13 and just past the pit entrance up to the last corner. 14 turns, 3.2 Ks. You can break it down into 3 sectors as well. Walking distance, although maybe not in this heat, from the Adelaide CBD. Lots of colour to enjoy down on the grid, and our pit reporter down there right now is Andrew Jones.
I've been let loose on the grid and I've found Martin Kuhl, Director of Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia. Martin, always great to have Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup here at the Superloop Adelaide 500. Do you guys enjoy coming to this weekend?
Extremely. The Audi Sport LMS Cup is an Asia-based series, but we are completely thrilled to be here for the second year. It's such a great event, such a challenging circuit. But looking at the qualifying sessions we had, the top 8 drivers were all within like 1 second, both Australians and Asians. And on the front grid, we have one Australian leading the grid with Tony Bates. We have an Asian with Biran Bhakti next to him. So I think everything is set for a very competitive, great race.
It's such a great initiative and we are very grateful that you guys bring these cars here and the whole moving circuit. Thanks for talking to us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Let's go and see if we can grab a chat with Tony Bates that Martin just referred to. Tony, you're pretty familiar with laps around this place. It's always a cool feeling to be on pole.
Yeah, mate, it's a place you want to be at this track, isn't it? So just make sure we get through to turn 1 and bring it home from there.
It sounds like a very sensible game plan, mate. Enjoy driving this beautiful bit of machinery around the streets here in Adelaide.
Thanks, mate.
Managed to qualify for pole for the opening round of the championship despite having a moment through turn 8 and actually hitting the wall. Got away with that one yesterday, Tony Bates. 2 races this weekend. Other drivers to watch out for include Yasser Shaheen, who was a front runner here 12 months ago. It's the first of a 10-round championship. The opening 2 rounds are here. We then traverse through China, Japan and finish in Malaysia. It's been a very big event to get to this point so far. We'll check out some highlights from earlier in the event. 4 days of action here in Adelaide. A tremendous place to race, like we mentioned, with all that history. Tony Bates picking up pole for the very first race this weekend. Yasser Shaheen and the Ben Motorsport Park, a brand new venue, only 90 minutes, 2 hours away from where we are. But qualifying this morning ended with this very, very large crash. And unfortunately for Ryan Liu, that car heavily damaged, but he was okay. Biran Bhakti doing a very good job to make sure that he didn't join the party down there at turn 8.
That was a tough one. We've been lucky the last couple of seasons, obviously last year and this year. We saw that twin spin from Yasser Shaheen in qualifying 12 months ago. Didn't touch a thing, went on to set the fastest time. Batesy tried to emulate it himself during qualifying yesterday. He had pole, fortunately, the time by that stage, and unfortunately stuck the rear of the car into the wall on the exit. He'd washed off a lot of speed by that stage. A little bit of damage. The boys fixed it overnight, the Audi Sport Customer Racing Australia team from Melbourne Performance Centre, and he's here on the front row of the grid and on pole for this race.
So unfortunately we've lost one of those GT4s, but the good news for Ryan Liu and his 1 million fans back in China is that he is okay and will hopefully be back for rounds 3 and 4, which are back in home soil at Zhuhai before off to the next few races at Shanghai in the amazing Formula 1 circuit, off to Suzuka, and then it wraps up in Malaysia at Sepang. There's the front row. Bates versus Biran Bhakti. It's Australia versus Thailand, and they're lined up behind the Audi Sport R8 pace car, ready to get this one started. 30-minute races and a pair of races to start off the championship. Bates was very quick here last year. Also watch out for Andrew Haryanto, he's starting row 2, defending champion, very quick here. And his race start last year, you brought it up earlier this weekend, Sean, he got an amazing start, launched to the inside to lead the race by the time they got down towards the first corner. There's been 3 practice sessions, 2 qualifying sessions. And finally, we get to go racing. Second race will be tomorrow. Scorching hot conditions, but thankfully the forecast is for a little bit kinder weather tomorrow with tops of just about 30, 31 degrees. You can see the heat haze as the Audi R8s fire up and the V10 engines get them moving. It's time to go racing here in Australia. The opening round for Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, an Asian-based championship, and once again it starts in Adelaide, Australia, with a big crowd for the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. An amazing event here with over 2 decades of history running as the Adelaide 500, but it dates well back into the mid-80s when it was part of the Formula One World Championship, and the circuit has evolved over the years, but is still very much a demanding place. Lots of concrete walls, they can catch you out. And with the heat here this weekend, keeping your concentration through 30 minutes of racing will be difficult. GT3 cars at the front, GT4 cars at the back, a bit more of an entry level into the world of Audi motorsport and sports car racing. Closer to the road-going version, a little bit cheaper, and still just as powerful in a straight line, even more powerful at times without the amount of aerodynamics of the GT3 car.
Faster, in fact, in a straight line, but it's certainly braking and mid-corner speed that the GT3s have as an advantage. Over the course of the lap, it's about 6 seconds or so it's shown this weekend, and the front running of the now 2 GT4 cars is Mark Williamson, and the car bringing up rear of field as the reigning GT4 champion, first time up last year on his debut in the championship, Indonesia's Anderson Tanoto in that blue and yellow car at the rear of the field. Unfortunately, we did lose Ryan Yu. Fortunately, he was able to get out unaided and walk away from the car. And that was the end of him for his run in this opening round, unfortunately.
It all starts in Adelaide for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. And how good is this? Nothing but Audi R8s, and they're lined up behind the Audi R8 safety car. 2 qualifying sessions so far this weekend. Tony Bates, the quickest in the opening session, and that means he'll be starting on pole for the first of their 2 races. Biran Bhakti will be alongside him. Watch out for Daniel Bielski as well, a really nice qualifying session from him. Andrew Haryanto, the reigning champ, will be off row 2. Jeff Emery in the newest spec car right alongside him. Sung Jing Zhu had his issues earlier in the week in a crash in practice, but he's back. Yasser Shaheen, very fast and ran with the front runners last year. He's starting a little bit further back as the Audis queue up and they get set to go racing here in Australia. It's Tony Bates, the Victorian, who will lead them to the flag. Here's the pole sitter. Rolling start going across the grid boxes. Bates, Biran Bhakti, Bielski and Haryanto. And Haryanto trying to do exactly what he did 12 months ago as they race 3 wide down to the centre chicane. They bang wheels, and it is Haryanto who does lead, but he has to run right across the centre chicane in contact with Biran Bhakti. But amazingly, they both get through turn 3, pointing in the right direction. On board with Yasser Shaheen. Exciting stuff for the Audis to kick us off.
Daniel Bielski just tried to stay out of trouble there. There's damage, left rear gone, and that's caused a little bit of chaos towards rear of field. Sung Jing Zhu losing a lot of pace, but you can see that is the man who led and won the opening race 12 months ago. But for Andrew Haryanto, I fear, Chad, he's not going to make it back to pit lane.
Oh, what a tough start for the reigning champ, and the Indonesian is struggling to get that car back to the pits. Tony Bates has a 4-second lead by the time they even get to the back straight.
Keep a close eye on Jeff Emery. He is the 4th car back there, or 3rd car in that row, the all-red car. Daniel Bielski, the Australian, now in position 2. Jeff Emery in position 3, and Biran Bhakti now dropping back. He may have dramas too.
Yeah, Biran Bhakti has an issue, and he was clogging the field up at turn 8, which is never a good thing, and they fan out 3 wide again down at turn 9. Alex Howe, the man who leads that pack. Sung Jing Zhu on the inside, giving the GT4 plenty of room, just running up on that curve. Oh, that's tight between the GT3 and GT4 cars.
Being very cautious, Biran Bhakti a little bit further back. So too Jingzhou, just to kick off the season. They don't want to see any dramas. This is clearly not the greatest of circuits to make big dive bomb last second moves. Mark Williamson in the GT4, but for Tony Bates at the front of the field, he has a huge lead now over Yasser Shaheen. All that melee off the start between Biran Bhakti and unfortunately the man who won last time round 12 months ago, Andrew Haryanto, the reigning champion. That was enough to spread the field out. That's why it is out like it is now. I'd expect that Haryanto might be into pit lane if he can make it all the way around, or whether he's stopped out on circuit. This is Bielski under fire from Jeff Emery. 2 Australians, one of them lives in Hong Kong, hasn't spent a lot of time at this circuit. Well, there's the answer to Andrew Haryanto. It's game over. He's had to park the car. So frustration for the reigning champion. A little bit of damage too to the right rear of Bielski's car.
Emery had a chance to get the move done then, but caught the yellow flags, double waved yellow, so you are not allowed to pass in that situation. It's fallen back just a little bit here as they climb up towards turn 8 once again. Such a difficult corner to get right. The smallest of errors are punished heavily when you go through turn 8. That was a wild start to the season. Andrew Haryanto trying to repeat his heroics where he led into turn 1 last year. On the outside of Tony Bates, Bates got squeezed in the middle. Or should I say, Biran Bhakti got squeezed in the middle, and amazingly, They managed to get through, but not without some damage.
See Yasser Shaheen up the inside of Alex Al, very wide for Jings, who lost a lot of speed on the corner that he had contact with in practice 3. And here it is, a wide shot. Oh, that was quite heavy contact and damage to the left rear of Andrew Harriento's car as a result of that. You can see it in the slow-mo.
This could have been so much worse.
Burritt's comfortably through, thinks he's okay, got the curb on the exit, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, it's, yeah, and loaded up on the left rear. There wasn't much he could do about going left again. That could have caused an even bigger accident, and then contact with Andrew Harriento. Bits of carbon fibre and aero flying off the car. You don't need that. That's not working well. Now, Yasser Shaheen, whilst all this has been going on, we're still watching the replay, has really closed down the lead of Tony Bates. He's monstering him. Oh, very ugly. Oh, yeah, so Jingsu really got caught. You see the smoke at the rear. A little bit of tyre rubbing, no doubt. Some probably serious damage left lead down on Andrew Harriento. On board with the reigning champion. He went wide this time. Last year it was the inside to lead into turn 1 from the 3rd row. He's going to try it again. Thought he'd go outside this time. Almost nailed it, and then bang into the side of Burambaki on the exit. And frustration for both those drivers. They were the stars last year. And they are, well, there's the second one out into pit lane, and that really sets them back in championship. Yasser Shaheen still pumping out quick laps. Quick 3rd sector for Tony Bates too. He knows what's coming. He's opened it up again. And Jeff Emery doing everything he can to get past Daniel Bilski in the 27 all-red entry. That's the new look livery for Audi Sport Worldwide. And of course, that's the Valvoline Audi Sport Customer Racing Australia entry of 2-time Australian GT champion Jeff Emery in position number 4. Not too far behind again, can't make that move because of Andrew Harriento's car parked down here, double waved yellows. So that really takes that advantage away from Jeff Emery. So he has to try somewhere else to make the move. Still quick sectors for both Bates and Shaheen. They're about 8 seconds down the road from this battle at the moment. And Alex Al is in position number 5 with Jingsu not too far behind.
So how about this for Harriento? This is actually where the tyre let go down at turn 4. What a save. Full opposite lock to be able to catch that car when the left rear eventually let go mid-corner. And this is what it looked like from the outside. Oh, what a save. And it would have gone right in front of half the field had it let go.
And that opened the door really for Yasser Shaheen to go around Burrit Birambakti, who at that stage looked like he was nursing his own dramas, and certainly set back the all-blue entry of Sun Jingsu. The absolute racing crew down there in pit lane, Michael Schneider and the boys having a look. And unfortunately for Burrit Birambakti, 4-time winner out of the 10 rounds last season, he's taken the helmet off and the balaclava. It looks like game over for the Thai driver. So let's hope the team can get that sorted and resolved by the time we get into round 2 tomorrow. That little bit of damage at the rear of Daniel Bilski's car hasn't slowed him too much. Jeff Emery is a real star around this circuit, and he's not been able to make any real inroads. We talk about stars around this circuit, one of the most successful over the last 4 or 5 years. Tony Bates, 12 victories between different categories he's been involved in, so he's keen to keep that effort going. He's doing what he can. He's stabilised that gap now. Tony Bates to Yasser Shaheen out to 2.2 seconds. Shaheen best lap, 1:22.46. Tony Bates best lap, 1:22.47, which is about the pace, Chad, that they were showing last year. So no real gain at the moment, and a slight break to change to the circuit too to make things interesting.
Whipping through turn 8, and that gap at the front sitting steady now at 2.2 seconds. Bates, Shaheen, Bilski, Emery, the top 4. The Audis slog it out here in Adelaide. So a big gap opening up between Shaheen and Bilski. Now 10 seconds. These two drivers fighting over third have cost each other a little bit of time. It's a fair difference back to where Tony Bates is. And how about the GT4 battle? Here we go.
That's heating up. Now, Anderson Sonoto's got it all together. I spoke to him this morning and he was saying, I haven't got it right. I've got a 27 in me. Let's see how that goes. Now, currently his best, Anderson Sonoto, is a 1:29.7, so he thinks he's got a couple more seconds in it. Mark Williamson's actually gone back a little bit. He was in the 28s yesterday. An Australian driver who's very much a journeyman these days. He hasn't raced since last year, but does a lot of driver development and a lot of road car tests. So spends a lot of time with his backside in road cars around various circuits around the world. But here he is back in a GT4 car this weekend. Did GT3 last year and We've just been talking about the differences between the two and a completely different style of driving because, again, can't rely on the aeros, can't rely on the brakes. Certainly got similar grip levels, but performance-wise, very, very similar. Same engine, whether it's GT4 or GT3. And just working on his technique around the circuit to extract as much pace as he can. So that battle will go on. This is continuing for what would be third position. And Jeff Emery doing everything he can to try and get past Daniel Bilski. Has pole for the second race tomorrow. Was the fastest qualifier earlier, unfortunately, in that shortened session with Ryan Yu into the wall partway through. And that cost a number of drivers, Daniel Bilski included, who were coming on later in their session with their tyre set. And Jeff Emery said, I've done enough miles around here to know that you really need to bank a lap very early. He said, my skill is being able to extract a quick lap in the opening few laps. So he said, I put that to good play. He said, after that, I figured I'd just have to sit and wait. I had nothing more. That was it. And if the other guys were going to catch me, that would be great.
Fight is on in Adelaide, South Australia. In beautiful sunshine. There are waved yellow flags here for the stricken Audi R8 of Andrew Haryanto that's been there since the opening lap. And that seems to be unfortunate for Jeff Emery because he's really strong through turns 4, 5, 6, 7, what's known as the staircase here, as they work their way through the 90-degree bends onto the back straight. Tuck in now behind Daniel Bilski, Australian but Asian-based. And behind him, the reigning Australian GT champion, Jeff Emery, doing a nice job as he tries to reel in the man in third. Back to the leaders, and Bates now with that gap steady at 2 seconds back to Yasser Shaheen.
Well, we're 6 laps in the books, and Tony Bates has just eked out the fastest second sector of the race, so he can see what's coming in the rear vision mirror. He spent plenty of time with Yasser Shaheen last year, so he will know what he's going to face a little bit later on.
Andy Jones down in pit lane. Things are heating up out there still, Andy.
They certainly are, and they're heating up down here in pit lane. Barrett, you were involved in an incident there. Really strong qualifying to be on the front row. Disappointing way. Just tell us what happened.
I'm not quite sure, but at the back I saw the gold car, which is Andrew Haryanto. I think he jumped over the curb and hit me. His car slipped and hit me. It wasn't my fault.
No, it certainly wasn't your fault from what we could see, but we could see the car in the pit lane here. There's some damage. It's popped the tyre off the rim. It's broken the ball joint at the bottom of the upright here, and you can see the damage down along the side of the car here. Unfortunately for Barrett, he's in a world of trouble. If we just shake this front wheel here, you can see that it's jammed up under the bottom there where the ball joint has broken. So that's a disappointing run. Sorry to see all your efforts come to no end, mate.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hopefully back tomorrow and ready to go if they can get that car fixed up. Thank you, Andy. And Burrett, very honest there. Wasn't his fault.
Very gentlemanly. We saw an incident last year at Ningbo in China where Andrew Haryanto fired up the inside into a tight left-hand first turn and cleaned Burrett up. He rode the curb, couldn't stop the car, drove straight in his door. And the first thing he wanted to do at the end of the race was just go and apologise on his knees in pit lane to say, I'm so sorry, brother. I didn't mean to take you out. And Burrett said, you just got to forget about that and get on with it. And of course, he went on and won the next day and really pushed Haryanto to the final of the 10 rounds last year. The two of them were the real sensations. And Burrett will be disappointed, like any driver being eliminated early in the race, but he felt that he'd really got it together here on the streets of Adelaide, and he wanted to show that. So he felt he was in with a good chance of taking the fight to the Australians, but sadly, that only lasted to the centre chicane, and that was effectively game over for both he and his 2018 title rival, Andrew Haryanto.
So no points for two of the favourites to start off with. That gap's coming down a touch. Shaheen getting quicker and quicker out there, just at the quickest first sector of the race, but running out of time over the halfway point. Can he reel in Tony Bates? 1.8 seconds now.
Alex Ow's just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's just punched out the fastest first sector of this next lap. 1:22.31, so he's a tenth faster than Tony Bates. Yasser Shaheen two's into the 1:22.3s. So he'll be pushing hard, but he lost all that time in that melee at the start. He's a lot further back than he would have liked. Oh. So just up the inside of Anderson Tenodo, in deep. Yasser's pushing. He's got the eyes on. This is really interesting. Best second sector for the race for Alex Au. So he's closing in on this pair. There he is in the background. And it's Daniel Bilski, actually.
They caught the traffic in a really awkward spot then, didn't they? It was a 1.8 second difference. It's gone back over 2 seconds now, so it just cost him 0.3 of a second. The lap traffic there. It was a lot easier for Bates, and this fight for third's still going on. Emery with the headlights flashing.
I think he's a tad frustrated. Very keen to try and show what he's capable of around this circuit. Done a lot of miles, like Tony Bates, really well versed with the Adelaide Parkland circuit. And that's the great thing about this, is a lot of the rivals, the Asian drivers. Daniel Bilski is Australian. He spent much of his life in Hong Kong, and he is plying his trade here for just the second time. So whilst he's done a lot of miles around circuits in Asia, it's only the second time he has been to Adelaide. And he's joined in the Blancpain Asia Series this year by BPIC team boss Hank Hicks in an all-new R8 LMS GT3 2019 model, the Evolution version, same as these cars. So he's getting valuable miles. There's a wing mirror. That's hopefully not a trail that leads to anything worse. Let's take a look. Oh, Alex Au is pushing really hard. He's got wide on the exit. There's no grip there. We can see what's coming. The inevitable collection of tyres. It's beautiful slow-mo shots we see. Hopefully he's been able to carry on. Okay, mirror's gone. A bit of damage to the bodywork, the carbon fibre bodywork on the left side of the car. But these things take a hit very, very well. So he'll be hoping to press on. Jeff Emery's just done the fastest second sector. Daniel Bilski's done the fastest first sector. So they are both really pushing on. All in the mid and low 22s. Alex Au still getting around, lost a lot of time obviously in that last one. Crosses the line again. 1:26.8, so lost about 4 seconds as a result of that off. Oh, it's the bump. Daniel Bilski wrong-footed on that one. Has that allowed Jeff Emery up the inside?
Now, the yellow flags have been withdrawn, so they're free to play there. Emery, half a chance of getting that move made, but would have been very aggressive. Would have needed Bilski to leave the door wide open to make it stick, so withdrew the opportunity. There's that new fence we were talking about earlier. Turn 7 has been moved substantially closer with that outside wall up on the curb. I've seen cars here this weekend get caught out by that tyre fence. And this was that move once again. Just watch on the approach to turn 4, the bumps for the 27 as the rear dances around. These cars do have ABS to help with the braking. That was a wild, wild moment, a good save, and still the fight is on for third.
Jeff Emery was telling me this morning he's looking at the opportunity to maybe do some more of this Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup racing. Likes the fact that all the drivers are in an identical car. Of course, he's got a lot of experience in one of these. He's two-time Australian GT champion in a second-generation Audi R8 LMS GT3. So has great experience behind the wheel of one of these cars. This, of course, is the new 2019 Evolution model. That car did debut at Bathurst as part of the Audi Sport Customer Racing Australia team. It was taken back to 2018 spec for Bathurst because it was out of the current FIA BOP. That is not set until about this part of the year. Bathurst, of course, the big season opener. Runs to full SRO balance of performance specification. Come the Grand Prix, they will be full 2019 models, but they can run here under this weekend under the rules of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. And that can be set as needed. Lights flashing again. Daniel Bilski, I'm very impressed with. He's doing a great job considering the skill and the experience of the man behind him. Through turn 8 once more. Bilski's really pushing, going very, very nicely. Former Masters and AM Cup champion for the Cup.
Tight under the trees at turn 9, but still Jeff Emery cannot get around the back of this car. Tony Bates, though, still doing it well out the front. Back around turn 13, the pits. And oh, that was a moment for Emery as he danced around the back of Dan Bilski's car. The cars are being kept in garages just over the back of turn 13. Very hot in the paddock, very hot on the track, very hot in the cars. Pretty hot everywhere this weekend in Adelaide. The action on track certainly hot too. Oh, another moment for Bilski. He's under heavy fire. These Pirelli tyres are getting hot. He goes defensive at turn 4. Emery might try and go all the way around the outside. It's just not going to work.
Oh, all that work he put into it, it's all come unstuck in one go. That was the breather that Daniel Bilski was looking for. 8 minutes left in this race, and he'll be hoping to keep that advantage. Yasser Shahin still punching out very, very good laps. Best lap last time round for Tony Bates, though, 2.4 seconds down the road. Fastest first sector to Yasser Shahin. So that fight goes on. Fastest second sector to Yasser Shahin at the front of this field. Here it is again, the replay. Just pulled out of the air. Bilski probably a little bit off the line he wanted to be in. And unfortunately for Jeff, just couldn't pull it up. And that opened the door again for Bilski to run away. Of course, a lot of experience on street circuits, a regular on the Bang Sen Grand Prix circuit, which is one of the most incredible street circuits in the world. The streets of Chonburi, south of Bangkok. And of course, a number of these drivers have also turned miles over recent years on the Macau circuit, another famous circuit which has attracted the odd Aussie driver over the years. Jingzhou circulating still. He's a little bit further back in the pack, currently position number 6. And behind him, well, it's Anderson Tanoto, but shown as behind Mark Williamson. So Tanoto at some points had a bit of a moment. Now there's a moment. Alex Au still having dramas. He's been pushing hard. Yasser Shahin's just eked out a 1:22.3 last time round. Lost a little bit of time in the final sector after setting the fastest first and second sectors that time round.
Yeah, Bates and Shaheen have been really pushing at the front to open up 14 seconds now over the rest of the field. We'll just quickly figure out what happened to Alex Au. He's dropped the left side Pirellis on the grass. Did well not to loop it around altogether, but had to quickly run it off and do a bit of lawn mowing before getting that Audi R8 back onto the circuit. Does he get the fence again? He's already hit the left side, but that's okay. Yeah, Shaheen lost a second and a half in the last sector on that last lap. Here he is. And now that gap's blown back out to 4 seconds. So we may have to call off the search party here. I think Bates has got him beat.
We saw Biren Bhakti during qualifying 1 yesterday push really hard and had a very similar off to what Alex Au just experienced at this part of the circuit and run into the last corner. The frustration for Biren Bhakti at that stage is he'd set the fastest first and second sectors and was looking very, very good for pole in this race. He was up on Tony Bates, the man on screen, but unfortunately looped the Singer Plan B by Absolute Audi, and that was the end of his quick lap. And he's frustrated standing in the garage there. Spoke to Andy Jones down in pit lane. Unfortunately, that contact through the centre chicane with the recovering Andrew Harrianto eliminated both of them, the 2 title rivals from the 2018 season, the 2 standout drivers. And they will take no further part. But this does open the door for Tony Bates, and he's still pushing a slight kiss to the tyre barriers. And he's just done another 1:22.2. So he's really just pushing very, very hard. A harder compound, the Pirelli DHD2. This is the worldwide compound used by GT Racing in most of the major championships. Same tyre used at the Bathurst 12 Hour. It's a harder compound. The Pirelli technicians are saying no worries at all about tyre wear. A little bit of drop off, it's pretty negligible, but the big thing is because of the track temperature, it's a little bit slippery. The cars are moving around a little bit more than they would normally do. So that's something they need to take into consideration. And speaking of slippery, wow, the slightest of kisses. Certainly doesn't want to be doing too much of that, Tony Bates, but it's just showing how hard these drivers are pushing. These lap times are very, very good.
Refuses to go away quietly today, Jeff Emery's back.
He's back. We've written him off.
Another round of this battle here with Dan Bilski. They fire it back onto the front straight. It's been toing and froing in the opening round of the Audi R8 LMS Cup. And once again, Bilski and Emery are getting set for round 2. There was a small error for Jeff Emery down at this corner a few laps ago, and he's worked hard to try and close that gap back up to be within 0.7 of a second of the man in third, car 27, Dan Bilski. So now they can fight again for third position on the track. Less than 4 minutes to go, so about 3 laps of racing left.
Absolutely pretty racing. But again, this is the second year we've been here with the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. It is the 8th season. The first 6 seasons was very much about pro drivers like Marchie Lee, Frankie Chung, Alex Jung, who of course Australian fans have been very familiar with. He won the championship 3 times. They decided last year to make it a purely amateur championship. We weren't sure how that was going to go, and certainly I took a deep breath when they said that the streets of Adelaide would be the opening race for guys in full FIA Spec GT3 cars that were amateur drivers, most of whom hadn't seen the circuit before. It worked perfectly. The pace was incredible. Across the course of the year, one of the successes of the championship is they've used the pro drivers as mentors. There's a number of them over in the pits, including one of last year's FIA WEC LMP2 winners, Wayron Tan from Malaysia. So they're mentoring these drivers, and they're impressed with the way these guys have taken it. They're professional businessmen. They like to make the most of their businesses. They like to make the most of their racing, and they're learning, and they're getting faster all the time. And Jeff Emery is pushing Daniel Bilski, I think, well outside his comfort zone at the moment. But again, valuable miles for Bilski as he embarks on a big season in Asia this year.
Emery keeps forcing the errors. Bilski was nervous up on the curbs at turns 1, 2 and 3, but just cannot get a spot to get up the inside. How about here at turn 6? He's at least filling the mirrors all over the back of Bilski.
We talk about it all the time with these cars, of course. You sit low, you sit back, your mirrors are tiny. In Alex Au's case, he doesn't even have a mirror. So your visibility isn't great, and you're doing everything at 100 plus to 200 kilometres per hour. You're making decisions as you dive into the corner. You don't want to be watching where Jeff Emery is, I'm sure. You want to be trying to take the right line whilst covering enough to prevent an overtaking move. So Jeff Emery knows that too. He doesn't want to bend the car. If he makes a move, it needs to be a decisive move. He needs to be well alongside Daniel Bilski by the time they get into a braking point. I'm not sure that's going to happen with, under 2 minutes now to go. It's probably about a lap and a bit. Race leader across the line. Here he goes.
Lap 13 is where the mistake happened. In the last 3, he's worked to chip him back.
Shaheen's just gone top. It's a qualifying lap time. 1:21.73. Close to within 1.8 seconds of the race leader, and that got out to near 4 seconds at one point. So Yasser Shaheen really on a charge. Here it is on screen. What's Tony Bates got left? This is the first of the second generation Audi R8 LMS GT3s. Yasser Shaheen in the Evolution version of the second generation Audi R8 LMS GT3. On board with Yasser, what does he have?
He called it a qualifying lap, and you're right. That is bang on his qualifying time from earlier today. Actually, substantially quicker than what he went in qualifying in yesterday's first qualifying session. Now, a little bit of traffic here to deal with again. And once again, Tony Bates gets the job done before they get to turn 9. And thankfully for Shaheen, he will also move through. Nice heads-up driving from Tenodo to not get in the way down at turn 9.
Yeah, not much Anderson can do at the moment. He's a little bit back from his rival in this race, Mark Williamson. Ryan Yu, unfortunately, was eliminated during qualifying, so just the 2 of the GT4s at the moment. And this battle goes on. There's not much time left on the clock. They'll get one more lap. Daniel Bilski, I think, will be destroyed at the end of this one. Not only the cabin temperatures are hot, but he's had no opportunity throughout this entire race to take a break. And to be outright with the GT3 on the podium, he'd love nothing more.
This is for a trophy. Opening round and the podium beckons. 13 seconds to go. So will we get this lap in and another, or will we see the checkered flag at the end of this lap? Bates the leader, Bilski up on the curbs. Emery not quite close enough this time at turn 4.
Well, it is 28 minutes plus 1 lap. So that is race duration. So we might actually see a lap and a half left in this race. We'll see what happens next time round, depending on duration.
Essentially into overtime here in Adelaide.
Well, leads out to 3.8 seconds, so something's happened to Yasser that last lap round. He's lost a couple of seconds. He got to within 1.7 seconds at the line, and perhaps pushing a little bit too hard.
Emery's close, and again the traffic is looming here. Ducks out for some fresh air. All this will be tight. They'll catch Tenodo at a pretty awkward time. Bilski's been really good through turn 8. Oh, he gets the inside curve all the way out to the fence. Man, he's committed. They move through on the traffic. They're both on the dirty side of the track, and he runs wide as a result, and he gives it away.
All that hard work got stuck.
The traffic put him off. He was on the dirty side of the track where he hadn't been on the brake pedal before, and that's what cost him. A forced error from Jeff Emery working away at the back of Daniel Bilski. Finally, he runs wide. Can you get him back? This is the moment on the curb. Wait for the second car through. Right there. That has ended up with some drivers hitting the wall when they've just come in a little bit too shallow. And on the dirty side of the racetrack down here at turn 9, couldn't get the car stopped.
Let's open the door. Jeff Emery doesn't need a second invitation. That's all he needed. Puts him onto the podium. So all that work done very, very nicely.
So this will be the last lap now. Here is your race leader. And the gap now is open up to 10 seconds.
Wow.
What happened to Jeff Emery on that last lap with the fight for third? All of a sudden, Yasser Shaheen has gone missing.
Oh, well, let's hope he doesn't have any dramas, but he may have just decided, I'm not going to catch him, that's it. Let's just take a bit of a breather. Look at top of screen. Where is Yasser Shaheen? Oh, it's a big 10 seconds.
Oh, he's in the fence is where he is.
Gee.
How'd he get away with that one? He definitely got the wall at turn 8 that time. I just wonder if this is heat starting to play into it.
Yeah, certainly could be, and that's one of those things, isn't it? You drop the pace off, you're not concentrating 100%. and that's all it needs at turn 8, just a slight lapse in concentration, and there you saw it, lucky to get away with that one.
With the checkered flag here, once again in South Australia, we go to Tony Bates. He has something of a true love for this circuit. He is so fast here, and the fight for second is on here. Shaheen is out on his feet, and he might only just get the checkered flag to take second, as Emery was right there. Give it to Shaheen, but just. And I think that could be 32 of the longest, hottest minutes of his life as he creeps home to get second. But there is your race winner, Tony Bates, a winner here in 3 different categories. Man, he's quick here, and he will take out the opening round of the championship.
Well, that'll be back-to-back wins for Tony Bates, of course. Won the second race 12 months ago. The car stranded alongside him there. Won the first race. Didn't get past half a lap this time round for Andrew Harrianto, but a good result for Tony Bates. This is exactly how he wanted to start his season.
Well, it was at one stage down to about 1 second. But right in the last few laps, Tony Bates managed to break the will of Yasser Shaheen. 13 seconds in the end. And how close is that for second position between Shaheen, Emery and Bilski? What a cracking opening race to the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Plus, there was plenty of drama on the opening lap as well between the Indonesian and Thai drivers. Just enough room to be able to stick the glove out and wave to the fans. Tony Bates was untouchable here when he was racing Carrera Cup, won 3 years straight, and then made the move over to the Australian GT Championship, where he also picked up race wins. And now for back-to-back years in Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, a race winner here in Adelaide. Let's check out some highlights, Sean. It was on right from the beginning.
It all started off the start. Andrew Harrianto, he got around the leaders last year on the inside. This time he thought he'd try the outside. Perfected it, got across. It was this point where he rejoined. That's where it went bad. Unfortunately, he hit his long-time rival from last year, Biren Bhakti, and that caused damage to both cars. The tyres gone on Andrew Harrianto, couldn't continue, pulled to the side of the circuit. There it is. That opened the door for Yasser Shaheen. He too got through on Biren Bhakti. Biren Bhakti didn't complete a lap, unfortunately. Had to come down pit lane with the rear of the car broken. And it got a little bit exciting on the run down to turn 8. Got exciting too for Alex Au. All kinds of problems coming into the centre chicane, or out of the centre chicane. Grabbed the tyre barriers on the outside, and that was frustration for him. Then came off the circle a bit after that. This was the real focal point of the race. Jeff Emery doing everything he could to get past Daniel Bilski. Lost it down at turn 4, went in a little bit too deep. And then Alex Au had another excursion, exploring the limits of adhesion and the limits of the car.
He didn't see too many people out there, Alex Au, but he certainly had an exciting race all by himself.
Batesy thought he'd kiss the wall just to show how hard he was pushing. And then this got really interesting. Daniel Bilski all the way until a lap and a half to go. Just left the door open a fraction. That was enough for Jeff Emery to put the foot in and force his way through. First to follow then, and then this moment, on the last lap on the exit of turn 8. And as you rightly pointed out, perhaps a little bit of heat for Yasser Shaheen at the end of this race.
The checkered flag was flying. It was this man, Tony Bates. Man, he is strong here, picking up another race win on the streets of Adelaide and the opening round of the Audi Championship here in Australia. Time to celebrate down in the pits with Tony Bates. It was a pole to flag victory here today, but certainly wasn't as easy as it sounds because he was pushed all the way. He looks physically spent. It was a tough race with Yasser Shaheen. They were really pushing each other the whole way through. No time to have a break. And only on the last lap did he have a chance to look in the mirror and see that they were finally empty because Shaheen pushed him and pushed him and pushed him for 30 minutes. How about this car? Had a scrape with the wall on the left-hand side right at the very end. Hopefully that thing's okay for race 2 tomorrow.
He'd gotten to within 1.8 seconds of Tony Bates with a couple of laps to go and then started to ease off the pace. We wondered whether he just backed it off, whether the heat may have been just getting to him, and unfortunately on that last lap he lost 10 seconds and then grabbed the wall on the exit of turn 8.
Jeff Emery, with all his experience in the Australian GT Championship, picking up a trophy here today. That car pushed very hard in that great battle with Dan Bilski. Got to love the Audi R8. It is an iconic sports car. Typically all-wheel drive, but has been a rear-wheel drive icon in GT3 racing for a while, but there is now the road-going rear-wheel drive version as well.
One of the prizes last year was the champion of the year, wound up with an all-gold version for their own road use by winning the championship. So Andrew Harriento has one of those parked in the garage.
Here he is getting out of the car. Just enough strength to raise his arms and clap.
He loves
And
the
well
celebration, Tony Bates.
Congratulations to Tony Bates. He just is so magic here at this track. There aren't too many drivers in any category who can claim to be as strong as he is here. Okay, let's celebrate. Let's go to the podium.
Now presenting the 2019 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup Round 1 awarding ceremony for the GT3 Cup. Third prize goes to Jeff Emery from Team Audi Sport, Team Valvoline. Second prize goes to Yasser Shahin from Team The Bend Motorsport Park. First prize in the GT3 Cup goes to Tony Bates from Tony Bates Racing. May I now invite Jeff Matner, Motorsport Manager of Adelaide 500, to present the prize to the winners. Next, presenting the prize of the winner of Pirelli Best Lap. The winner of Pirelli Best Lap goes to Yasser Shahin from the Bend Motorsport Park. May I now invite Simon Poole, Technical Director of Pirelli Australia, to present the prize to the winner. Congratulations to all the winners on stage. Let's have the winners take a group photo.
Exciting stuff here in Adelaide, the first round of the championship. Congratulations to Tony Bates. Looking forward to race 2 tomorrow here from Adelaide, South Australia.